Man, it's been a good day so far. We got food today too. We're eating the Lord's Supper, and then we're eating first Sunday supper. So it's going to be a good day. Hey, listen, we're still kind of about two-thirds of the way through this series that we started a little before the first of the year, called "Better You, Better Life." Right, and so we're just reminding ourselves of this, that as we get better, I want to keep giving this definition. You and me getting better is always in relation and correlation to us dying to self, right? I mean, the more I give myself to Him, the better my life becomes. There is that deal. It's an exchange, right? So He's asked me to deny myself, to take up my cross and follow Him. And with that will come an untold blessing, not necessarily circumstantially in that sense, but blessing comes wherever He is, right? And so we have been talking about a better you creates a better life. That you and me need to make some changes in our life. We talked about that. We've asked ourselves this question: how can I let things get better, right? How can I let that get better, right? I mean, if I can have a better marriage, why would I settle for less than a better marriage, right? If I can impact my family in a way that will create a better family, why would I not do the things that I should do to make that family better, right? If I can steward the money that God's given to me better, and I can have a better life with the way finances helps, and I can be generous to others, why would I settle for something different? A better version of me in those areas is a better life, not just for me, but those around me. I mean, I think we would all agree with that. So we've been focusing in on 7 key areas of life. These, and you won't find there's not like, here's a verse that says 7 things, but we just know them to be true. These are the 7 areas of life that we deal with in a lot of bases. We talked about them. There's my faith, right? A better faith will mean a richer life for me. A better faith will mean that others will reap a better life because of that. We know that to be true, right? You step out in faith and start loving on somebody, that presents God an opportunity to reach into their life, right? I mean, so we understand that concept. So a better faith. What can I do to have a better faith? What can I do to have a better family? That's that place that I was planted. That's Acts 17:26. God planted me in the exact times and places according to my tribes and nations and my people, right? So my people, if I can help my people be better, my family and that centric circle of there, why would I not? And then we've all got friends, I hope. We all have friends, whether good ones or bad ones, we don't know, right? But the thing is, if I can be a better friend, which will create a better life, why would I not do that? Right? And so we've talked about that. How can I let my friendships get better? How can I let the field, that area in where I work? Listen, we all make fun of our job. I mean, we're grateful for them, but still, not everybody loves their job, right? You just do what you got to do to survive, right? But if I can, how can I let that area get better? What can I do to get better in that area? We talked about fitness, just mental health, emotional health, physical health. How can I get better in that area? If I'm going to walk with this body that's decaying, I at least would like to get the most mileage out of it as I can, right? And do it in good shape. And then we talked about finances, and we talked about the Sabbath rest, like that fun, just taking a break from the world and going, no, I'm going to enjoy this moment right now. Jesus did that. He often got away with his disciples and was spending time with them. So there is that concept. Now, so we asked ourselves this question: how can I let life get better? So, just real quick review. This is for you to have this self-talk in your head, not necessarily out loud. Hey, it's your life, right? So how are you doing in those 7 areas? Have you feel like you've been growing in the past 9 weeks, I guess, since we've been looking at this? Could I just remind you only get one life here? So if you're not becoming a better you, aren't you wasting some things? And this is not a sad picture. Just understand the window's closing, right? The sun is setting, however you want to say it. If it's going to get better and you're going to be a better person, it's a good time to think about starting today, right? Not like, well, I'm next Monday or next year or when I get over this or when that happens. How about just now? How about now? How about we do that now, right? And so this is what we're asking ourselves. So where are you, right? Look again at these 7. Where are you in the area of faith? Is it where it ought to be? If not, how can you let it get back? How about your family? Is it where it ought to be? And we can't do it. Sometimes family can't be fixed, right? I mean, it takes 2 to tango, so to speak, right? But I can be at peace with all people so far as it depends on me, right? I can make sure that I'm not the roadblock to a better family. I've done everything I can. And how about friends, right? Am I better? Am I a better friend? Or am I getting there? Field, fitness, finance, fun. Just think about those. What's keeping you from enjoying the best life that you can have? So here's what we've been talking about. We looked at those 7 and we saw the scriptures and kind of gave us an idea of where we could get better in those areas. Then we said that when we do that, when we start pursuing better, we should expect obstacles, right? Like the whole world's going to conspire against us and it's going to be really difficult to do some things. And so we've been talking about some of those obstacles, strongholds, whatever you want to call them. We've been talking about those, and we're going to look at 2 more today. But we talked about fear, right? Listen, even that song we sang dealt with fear, and Samuel talked about fear with us for a bit. So there is that reality that I have to deal with that fear. Fear will keep us from trying to be honest with our friends so that we can have better friendships, right? So we stay surfacey because there's a fear that if I tell them really what's going on in my life, they're not going to want to be with me. But what if you risked it, right? I mean, what if you did? And what if it was better for that, right? And same thing with the job. You know, maybe you're in a dead-end job. Okay, well, look, there's a lot of jobs out there. I know, but I'm afraid I won't get a better one. I know, but what if you do? I mean, we just deal with that fear, and it's helpful to know where God is in the midst of that. And then sometimes you start doing well, and guilt and shame comes in, right? And you begin to remind yourself that you're just a dirty scoundrel, and you're not worth anything. So don't even think that your family wants to see you. Don't even think your friends, are going to be here. Don't even think you deserve money. Don't even, right? Is that true of sometimes? Don't we find ourselves in that where, whether you call it Satan or self-talk, but somebody's holding you down for the count, and they're beating you silly. Yep. And it's just guilt and shame. And so we self-sabotage ourselves. We begin to expect that nothing good will happen to us, and we self-fulfill that prophecy by blowing everything up when we can get to that place. That's how silly we are. So today we're talking about a topic when we talk about laziness, everybody's like, well, I'm not lazy. Right? Well, can we just have the conversation first before we come to conclusion? Because there's 2 things. These are the 2 other ones, and I got one more after that we're going to talk about next week. But laziness and a lack of focus in getting where you want to go will always mess you up. And so if we don't deal with these obstacles, we're going to find ourselves in trouble. Let me give you a definition of lazy, because I don't think anybody in here probably sees themselves as lazy. And I'm not saying you are or you aren't. That's really not up to me. Well, no matter my opinion, doesn't really matter to you. Just like yours doesn't to me when it comes to that. Because I know how to look. I know how to look not lazy, right? I see guys at work all the time, and I got guys all the time, and they got gloves on, they got a shovel in their hand. They know doing a thing of work. But they got that shovel. And I got some business people that walk around there carrying papers. Those papers, who knows what's in those papers? But if you carry papers and you walk around an office, somebody assumes you're doing something, right? So we know, we all can play Huck Finn, right? And get somebody else to paint the fence, right? I mean, we know how to do that. And so let me give you a definition of laziness, and then we're going to look at some scripture, and then I'm just going to kind of wrap this thing up. Laziness, unwilling to work or use energy to accomplish something, right? And so that's kind of that working. It's a lack of effort or activity. That's what laziness is. It's just where I don't feel like doing it today, right? And so we declare every day a holiday, every day a vacation day. Now I care about a lot of things. I just don't care to do that today. You can not carry yourself into a mess, can't you? And so let's just look at the Bible. I think this is important. We're just going to wander. Just preface, I'm just reading, okay? I just want you to understand, I'm just reading the Bible, all right? So if it affects you and makes you feel bad, well, Don't shoot me. I'm just reading. It's not, these aren't my words. All right? Listen to what, can we just have that conversation? How long will you lie down, you lazy one? When will you arise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, then your poverty will come like a drifter, and your need like an armed man. Right? All of a sudden, man, you're going to be assaulted, and you're going to go, what just happened? I have friends that no matter how much money you give them, they will always be broke. Do you have friends like that? I mean, they always broke. I'm like, if you worked as hard at your job as you do trying to get money out of me, you'd be a little further down the road, right? All of us could do a little bit better. Right? We all want nice things. We all get jealous because, oh, look at that new car. Oh, they got a new car. Ooh, wow. Wish I had a new car. Well, I mean, you know, you could maybe work an extra job if you want. You know what I'm saying? I am commenting a little bit. I should not comment. Let me just read the text. Proverb. These are all Proverbs. Listen to what he says here. Poor is the one who works with a lazy hand, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. He who gathers in summer is the son who acts wisely, but he who sleeps in the harvest is the son who acts shamefully. Right? I mean, we all started out with nothing. Can we agree with that? I mean, I know some people had money that mom and dad gave them and all. I mean, I realize there's a little bit of discrepancy here and there about different things. But we all know stories of people who had nothing and they got somewhere. Well, my thought is, if they can, well, so can I. Right? And so it's about how hard are we willing to work in life. And I'm not just talking about money. Although these Proverbs are dealing with that because that's a man dealing with his kids, right? You deal with your kids, you got to talk about money because if you don't teach them how to make money, you're going to be giving them money your whole life. And so, this is the reminder of that. Let's look at another one. The hand of the diligent will rule, but the lazy hand will be put to forced labor, right? Man, the hand of the diligent, they're the ones who become like managers and bosses and then own their own company and all those things. If you don't care to do that, you may not make it in that sense. You just you're forced labor, right? You got to work for the man, so to speak. Proverbs 13:4, the soul of the lazy one craves and gets nothing. Now, you can want. Hey, we all have want, but want won't get you what you want, right? Want won't get you that. I think it was my dad always told me you're big enough, your wants won't hurt you. I hate that phrase. Right? Your parents ever tell you that? Hey, you're old enough, your wants won't hurt you. Right? But that's what he's saying here. The soul of the lazy one craves and gets nothing, but the soul of the diligent is made prosperous. There's something about work. God expects us. He worked 6 days, right? And then he rested. He's not asking us to do anything he didn't do, but we ought to work. Proverbs 14:23. In all labor there is profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. Hey, there comes a point you just got to get up and do it. We can't talk about it. Hey, I'm going to start working. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get there. At some point, you got to quit moving the mouth and start moving the feet and hands, right? I mean, we got to do that. And that's what he says here. Aren't you glad you don't have like a little comment, Randy's study Bible with all my notes in it? You'd be going, man, hey. Anyway, Proverbs 24, this is a good one. I passed by the field of a lazy one and by the vineyard of a person lacking sense. And behold, it was completely overgrown with weeds. Its surface was covered with weeds. The stone wall was broken down. When I saw, I reflected upon what I'm looking at. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and then your poverty will come like a drifter, and your need like an armed man. Right? You don't take care of stuff, it's just going to break, right? My daddy taught me that too. My daddy taught me a lot of good stuff. But one of them was, if you don't change the oil in that car, son, it's going to break, right? And my philosophy is always, if it makes a noise, just turn the radio up, right? That's not the best way of doing it. A little folding of the hands, and you know what happens? That noise gets louder, and then it breaks, and you go, what happened? I turned the radio up. At some point, you got to actually do the work, right? And this is what he says here. Now that was Solomon in Proverbs. He gets to Ecclesiastes. Listen to what he says there. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. For there is no activity, planning, knowledge, or wisdom in Sheol where you're going. You're going to learn everything you're going to learn right here. So you may as well get after it, right? It's either that or death, and you don't going to learn nothing there. And then this one. This one kind of hits close to home in some sense. It's Ecclesiastes also. Through extreme laziness, the rafters sag. And through idleness, the house leaks. Right? We have a shed out back. It didn't leak before I bought the house. It leaks now because Tammy hadn't done anything about it. But somewhere along the line, I saw one of the rolled felt thing. You know, the roof. It was one of those rolled roofs. It kind of had flipped up a little bit, and I didn't notice it because I was busy. I'm a busy man. And then I noticed it. I thought, well, we ought to fix that. And I thought, I'm gonna fix it when next good weather day. Well, I mean, good weather days. Good weather days are good weather days. I'm not wasting it doing that.
Day trip.
So I'll wait later. Well, then when it rains, I'm like, man, it'd be a good time now, but, well, it's raining, so I'll do something else. And so then I just thought, well, I'll just lay something on it. It won't keep flapping, and it will be good. And I didn't know what was happening, but if you go out there now, there's like holes in the roof. Because now the shingles are gone. I don't know, my neighbors got them, I guess. I don't know what happened to them. Now I got to replace the...
Out of the yard when they blew.
I know. She knows exactly where they are. But now I got to replace the whole roof. I could have just put some shingles on it. But now I got to put plywood on it now. I don't know if you know, but shingles are a lot cheaper than plywood.
Oh, yeah.
So what could have been about a $30 job is now going to be about a $1,200 job probably, right? I mean, don't you think? And by the time you replace all of it? I mean, I'm not complaining. It's my fault. I'm just letting you know. You want a living example of this thing? I'm just volunteering to let you know this is what it looks like, right? So all of us can fall to that. Now, so we talk about, and we're going to talk about laziness in a minute because I'm still going to convince you that you're probably not as unslothful as you think you are. But listen to what Ephesians chapter 5 says. Because now we're moving away from the bricks and mortar stuff to our life. Just listen real close. Ephesians 5, 15, 17. So then, be careful how you walk. Not as unwise people, right? Listen, it's one thing for that to fall apart because a little sleep, a little slumber. It's another when my faith falls apart because a little sleep, a little slumber. Because I didn't memorize the word like I could have. And I didn't pray and seek the Lord's face, who is my answer. And now I'm in a world of hurt, right? And it's okay. I mean, that's just money out there, that little roof. But if I fold my hands and sleep and not keep good relationships with my brother, not spend time with my bride, not chase after my kids, you can't put money on that, right? Is it starting to come to home a little bit now, what we're talking about, and why this is going to matter? Because it's not just about, because none of us are lazy in the sense that speaks of maybe only me. How about friendships? How sad is it when you turn around and you realize you got nobody to help you? Because you never invested in relationships, not in a meaningful sense. And so you're bankrupt when it comes to friends. You don't have any. And you can complain about that all you want to. And so my friends never call me. But you know what? You could have called them. You could have been generous to them. There's a lot of things you could do, right? And so that little folding of the hands to rest is funny when we talk about a roof, but it's not. And all of a sudden now we realize I got no friends. Same thing in the area of my health. Man, you can eat fast food all you want to. You can wreck your mind and let it be a prisoner of your past and not deal with it and not find a good help, someone who can draw out of you those things. And you can just pretend it goes away and just, take another sip of wine or whatever else it is you'd medicate. But at some point, that whole house is going to fall. And you're going to have a mental breakdown, or you're going to you're going to be an emotional basket case, or your body's going to wear out because you didn't do the things to take care of it, right? I don't want to sound melodramatic. I just think it's important. Now we've gotten serious. It was funny now when nobody's laughing anymore. but it's just true, right? And same thing with finances. Listen, I mean, you get Tammy's age. She's nearing that whole retirement thing. If she didn't do a good job saving any money, we're gonna be hurting. You saved some money, didn't you? You save some. But right? I mean, you know what I mean? Hey, I'm all big money, but if I'm not been putting any back, I'm gonna get to the end of days, and my finances aren't. I'm not gonna be doing what I thought I could be doing. All because we got lazy, and it was easier to spend money here and there and everywhere else than save it. So I say all that just to say this. Let's talk about this whole thing called laziness and what we can do real quick. And I got a few thoughts, because here's some things. Anxiety and depression can look like laziness, but it's not. It's paralysis, right? Because you see somebody who's anxious and they're depressed, they don't want to get off the couch, they don't want to do anything, right? You can go scream at them that they're lazy all day long, but laziness isn't their issue. They need to start taking care of what's going on mentally in their life, right? And they need to start having conversations with people who can help lift them out of that situation that they're in. And so don't just assume that because somebody looks like they're lazy, that they're just lazy and slothful. They just didn't handle their stress load very well. And they didn't handle the circumstances that came in their life, or they didn't handle the people that came into their life. And so we just should start there. So what do you do? How do you, because some of you can't do the other because you're paralyzed with that, right? Now, we did talk about that a while back, so I'm not trying to talk about that again. I just want us to understand you got to deal with that. You can't sweep that under the rug. You need to talk to somebody about your troubles, and whether it's a friend, psychological counselor, or a medical doctor. If there's something in a prescription deal they can do to help ease that pain while you figure life out, I'd be careful about that one. Just because sometimes we that becomes something that we're dependent on, and I don't want to. But listen, if it just helps you get down the road, then do that. If you need to go make amends with somebody and that's the basis of your depression, go make amends. Because life's short. And if that's what's holding you from doing all the things that you could be doing because you're weighed down by that, I don't mean deal with it like deal with it. I mean like do something about it, right? Be proactive there. I talk to my kids all the time about proactive, being proactive with your life. Way too many people I know procrastinate and are proactive like a roof, right? And so it's important that you do that there. Here's another one. So anxiety and depression can look like laziness. Exhaustion can look like laziness too. Right? Right? You know what I'm talking about? Uh-huh. Go look at a single mom who's working 3-4 jobs because she's trying. Oh, wait, we have one.
Sorry.
But I mean, right? And so they're worn slap out, and then but when you see them, they're falling asleep and they're doing everything else, and they're having a hard time. Well, they're not lazy. They're overworked, and sometimes they're overworked because they don't trust the principle of 6 days you work, 1 day you rest. And they're afraid to rest because their fear is laid hold of them. And I'm not speaking to anybody, I promise you I'm not. I'm just saying sometimes we're afraid to stop because we can't. It's hard to think that, well, God's going to work for us while we wait on Him, right? You know what I'm saying? And so the fix for those people is stop it and breathe. You can take 1 day, and I'm pretty sure the Lord will make up that slack, right? Breathe. It's okay, right? And so it's important that we do that. And you should look at that in some of those areas. And so just take your Sabbath. It's okay. Take a Sabbath. The Lord will bless you, right? And then sometimes and I hate to call it this, like ADHD or anything like that, but it's just sometimes a lack of focus makes you look lazy, right? Y'all have brains that are wired that way? My brain's wired that way. I mean, I've never been tested. I don't need to. You can look at me and go, yeah, boy's got ADD. He's got it bad. You know, and so but it can look like laziness, but it's not necessarily. You know, I can, if I were to open up this computer and let you see what's in there, I got about 15 books I'm working on. I haven't finished one yet, but I've got them, right? And so at some point I have to decide, hey, Pardue, pick one, stick with it, right? And it's the same thing. We can lose focus, and we're not going to see the things that we need to see. I can be so busy doing 1,000 things, I failed to take the moment that was with me to spend time to do the thing right there, right? And so if I let my mind wander, and I'm wanting to improve my marriage, but while I'm doing it, my mind's 1,000 different places, and I'm not just engaged with her, and I'm not listening to her, and I'm not looking at her, and I'm not listening and speaking to her, I'll let my lack of focus look like laziness, like I don't care, right? And so we have to be careful about those things. The results of all of those, depression and exhaustion or lack of focus, looks like laziness. Here's a statement. What the lazy want, the disciplined to get. Hey, we all want something, don't we? But only the people who are disciplined will actually get that. And so let's just talk real quickly. I'm trying to land this plane here and get down to that. Here's a formula that works for us, especially the ADD crowd. Time, effort, and endurance, right? It's just a little bit at a time. I can get overwhelmed by a task sometimes, right? Can you? I mean, some things are hard. And so here's the thing. I've got to slow down. I'm just going to think, okay, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to do it right. I'm going to keep knocking out a little bit at a time, right? I can binge on a book and get 3 chapters done and then forget where I was. Now I have to go back and restudy everything I did in order to start working on that 4th chapter. But if I just do a little bit at a time, then I don't lose that momentum. And so time plus effort plus endurance. Yeah, I got a plan for that. I'm getting some points to you in just a second. I just want you to hear the thoughts here. Because a lot of us are really good starters. We just really stink at finishing, right? I know how to start friendships. Sometimes I don't do well on like finishing friendships. I've finished those a few times too, not in a good way. But you know, but it's about finishing, not just starting, right? How many people do you know have those exercise equipment laying around because they're gonna get in shape, right? And most of them are like either in the basement or in the attic or on Marketplace, right? I mean, that's just what happens. You know, how many of you have a book on the nightstand that you're going to read and it's been there for like 8 years, right? I'm going to read it. That's right there, Mom. I got it right there, right? We feel good about it because we got it right there. You got to open it. I mean, we can think about all those things. About focus. Where we focus our time and energy is where we see growth. That's just the principle of sowing and reaping, right? If I focus my attention on my marriage and I ask the question, how can I let it get better? And I ask that question every day and I'll think about it every day and I try to make a step every day in that direction, my marriage can't help but get better, right? But it's about focus. I can't just want it. It's about sowing and reaping. What am I sowing into that, right? Laziness isn't about the pace. It's about priority, right? We tend to think it's about pace. It's not. It's not about how fast I do it. It's just the priority that I do it every day. I do something every day. Sometimes it's a failure to prepare. Sometimes it's like, you know, why do you cram for a test? Because you didn't do a little by little, right? I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And then we cram for a test, right? And then it all leaks out and you didn't learn anything. So what's the cure? Here we go. You ready? I got like 5 things for you. Number 1, wake up. Right? I mean, life's short. Did I wake you up? I'm sorry. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, seriously, wake up. You got one shot through this life. Quit letting your anxiety, quit letting depression, quit letting all that stuff stop you from getting the things that God has desired for us in our life. Just wake up. And that's the first thing you do. Just wake up, right? Second thing, set a goal. Pick one of those 7 areas. Quit just doing nothing. Pick an area, set a goal. I want this for my friendships. I want this in my family. I want this in my finances. I want this in my... Set a goal. I talked to Jesus about it first, but set a goal, right? Write it down. You can have... How many of you got goals you never wrote down? You know why you don't write goals down? Because then you got to do them, right? It's so much easier not to. Oh, yeah, I got goals. Oh, I don't do goals. I don't do, resolutions. Well, why not? You know why not? Because you don't want to challenge yourself. It's going to be hard. I would say do 2 things. After you wake up, set a goal and tell somebody else you set that goal. That's where the money is. It's easy for me to write down goals because I can always mark those things out or throw that paper away later, right? But if I write that down, I'll go and I tell the Tamster, I go, hey, look, here's what I'm going to do. Well, that's the worst thing you could do. That woman doesn't forget a thing. And that nagging thing, she don't nag, but she knows what your goal was and when you're not doing it. She knows. She don't say nothing. She's that good. She's the biggest con artist on the planet. I mean, I promise you, that woman never nags me. But I know that she knows. She's just got her way. And so tell somebody. Third thing, create an action step. 1 step. Right? You know the old adage, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with what?
1 step.
Right? I want better friends. Okay, here's 1 step. What are you going to do? Pick up the phone and call somebody. Hey, just thinking about you. Checking in. Now they're going to go, who are you? I'm your old friend. Right? But just, how hard is that? Right? Hey, you want to get better at your finances. You know what? Go get some cash. Put it up somewhere. I don't have no money for a savings account. Okay, well, you got $1 laying around. Wait till your kids are asleep. Take it out of their piggy bank. I don't know. But I'm just kidding. But just get you some money and start, right? I have a goal. I'm going to speak 1 goal I've got out loud, all right, just so you kind of see how this is. When my grandmother died, have I told you this story before? My grandmother lived to be like 96. Her husband, my grandfather, worked at Marita Bread Company his whole life. They called him Popeye because he could carry 2 bread racks on his shoulders and he would deliver that bread. That's all he did. My grandma didn't work a day in her life outside the home. When I say that, please don't think I mean she didn't work. When my grandmother passed away, my dad and mom came over to our house. And my grandmother gave me a check for $5,000 that she had saved from that man's income to carry her to 96 years old. And then gave every one of her grandkids, and I can't remember how many cousins I got, but I think there's like 12. And then I don't know what her kids got. She had 4 of them. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set a savings account for every one of my kids, my grandkids. Forget my kids. They make more money than I do. But my grandkids. And so I told Tammy the other day, I said, this is one of my new goals. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to open up 9 checking accounts, savings accounts. I'll put $1 in each. I mean, whatever it is, whatever the minimum is, I'll figure it out, right? But I'm just letting you know, I'm going to start there, right? This is how it works. I want you to know, I'm trying to do what I'm encouraging all of us to do. This is what it looks like. Now, once you get that action step, put it on the calendar. I'm going to start that day. Get a calendar out. If you don't have a calendar, because you don't do calendars like me, I have a phone, but I don't do calendars. Journal. Or, hey, you can do this. Put it on the refrigerator. Let the whole world see it, right? Just put it somewhere. And then the 5th thing, don't quit. Just don't quit. You can talk about it. You can sit down and have a pity party, but get back up and don't quit. All right? That's how we overcome that laziness. It's just little inch by inch. Listen, it's your life and it's your legacy. I mean, I'm not going to hold you accountable to that. I just think it's a good idea that we have this conversation about laziness and decide what we're going to do about it. Right? Man, I'm glad you guys came. It's been a good day so far. Michael, we going to celebrate the Lord's Supper? Man, I'm excited about that.